Good news, everybody. The makers of Clair Obscur have been given a knighthood. This is huge. So, like, in the UK, I need to actually do a list, but obviously we have Sir Ian Livingstone, who created Games Workshop and, like, the Choose Your Own Adventures. Obviously went on with, like, Tomb Raider and Eidos and stuff. But, you see, excuse me, the reason why this is, like, super important is, like, you cannot get more establishment than, like, knighthoods and stuff, right? It's quite hard to break through in games because ultimately, let's be honest, everyone kind of looks down on us a little bit. Obviously, this is kind of like a knock-on effect. I mean, obviously they chose to make the game, takes a long time. But also, if you think back to Sven from Larian's speech, I think it was like 2 Game Awards ago, like this idea that just you have to have this kind of passion behind your craft. Like we saw it with kind of like Ubisoft going fully kind of paint by numbers, and kind of the soul of the game is a little bit lost really when you like reverse engineer something. You can't really do that. You shouldn't be doing that with art or any kind of thing that you create, because it ultimately takes any of the soul out of it. And what we want is the soul, right? And the thing is, when you have people who are super passionate about what they're doing and have that freedom to creatively express themselves that isn't limited by keyboard warriors online telling them what they can and they can't do, or like rules of business in this. I mean, obviously it has to make money. There has to be some limitations, but like you have creative freedom within the bounds of whatever the hell, right? You can feel that when you watch something or you consume something that has been made by people who are ultimately incredibly passionate and hopefully weird. It seeps through into every kind of like pore of that creation, and whether or not it's a noticeable, quantifiable thing, but it is there because that kind of passion and that freedom to creatively express means that when you're making something, you move with momentum and you move in a happy way through all this problem solving, which ultimately means you're in a better state to make better decisions, right? So like if you break it down like that, if you want to be that, limit about it. So yeah, I feel like this is a really good kind of moment. And hopefully from this point, having, knighthoods being doled out and games, like Baldur's Gate and obviously Clair Obscur doing incredibly well, coming from a standing point of like firm creativity and being like, this is what we're doing. Hopefully we're going to start seeing a pushback, and hopefully we're going to start seeing games that are just a bit more interesting again. Because this is it. We as humans, right, we're really weird. Like, we're all really weird. We're all really unique and odd. Everyone has a completely interesting and odd perspective on life and a way of thinking of things. And that's what makes stuff interesting, right? Is seeing that perspective that's not your own. Why would you want to see your own perspective? We're here already. I want to be out of that because it's boring and annoying and it needs to shut up. So yeah, I'm feeling really positive about stuff like that. This kind of thing really makes me think that... because even those like evil Machiavellian suits that I imagine in my head who sign checks for games on their board of, it's not like that. But even now, they need to start thinking, well, actually, if we want to make some money, maybe we need more little weirdos. Sorry, that's not a cuss. That's my people. Having like more kind of odd little creatives just being allowed to kind of let loose. Because think back to the games over the past years that have really, really stuck in your mind and excelled, and they're always the ones where it's been like, hey, they're protective of their art, they're protective of their creation. I feel like it's our time now. Little weirdos with too many ideas. The era of odd is definitely upon us, and I'm definitely here for it. Because everything's so formulaic, procedural, TikTok, boring. Let's be weirder. Come on, kids, we can do it.